and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders, in green our Category 2, in blue Category 3 and Category 4 in red. Race the strengths, train the weaknesses, and you'll get better and better. Or, as somebody told Holly Bergin this week, you don't get quicker by riding with people that are slower than you.
You don't, that is very true.
This climb is basically the 3rd biggest climb of the day. It's the first one, the biggest one that's not categorised, and it's a great moment to start to put the cat amongst the pigeons and to shake things up somewhat. So it's time to see what she could do. Response is coming behind you.
Category 4 now well and truly on the Hawk Hills. You can see the climb, it kicks immediately at 10% of the bottom. Nasty start, but it's been a long warm-up. 23.6 kilometres. Well, is Bridget Bremner coming to the fore? She's feeling fresh today.
Swings round, right hand turn in underneath the banner. What will the Hawk Hills do to the leading group in Category 1? It is already a smaller group.
There's been a lot of competition in that Category 1 race, but I don't think Category 1 will catch. I'm not saying, though, that Category 3 won't, because Category 3 are 200 metres behind.
You come in and through, twisting, turning, steep, perfect breakaway territory. Get outside, get out of mind, put in the attack. Play to your strength, put that explosive power down, then tap out a rhythm. 3 seconds back to Fua.
Rosa Herrera, though, is having none of it. She wants back on. The gradient has flattened. She knows the finish line is coming. That's the UCI ban around the corner. Can Herrera catch Simkin? Will Simkin stay clear? Melissa Simkin is your winner in Category 3.
So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 4. Yes, it's an extra bonus month where we have 5 Sundays, which means that it will be the 5th race of the month. That is our finals next week. My name is Matt Payne and I am solo today in the studio. Regular viewers will know that Emma Martin is normally in the hot seat across the studio, not here today, out on international duty for the UCI as the first female lead commentator for the Paracycling Road Championship. So over in Zurich, which is not where we are, because we're going to go straight in to one of our favourite courses, into the Wollongong course. As you can see, 35 kilometres as per normal. We have 3 laps effectively of the 502 metre course in totality. And that means that we go up the climbs twice. We go over the sprint sections twice. And that means that the riders will get a good look at the run into the finish, which is up that final little kicker climb that takes it in. Now, it's not categorised, but it is really, really key. So watch out for that when we head out on the start. We'll try and highlight that for you. This can be a really fast race. However, the fastest time here, currently set by Catherine Fua, 54 minutes. We'll run you through those times when we go into the show. And it shows you that the riders really do have to be prepared for about an hour's worth of racing. Good preparation, good fueling in the race is going to be really, really key. Our 4 race categories all taking on exactly the same course, whether they are Category 1 in yellow, Category 2 in green, Category 3 in blue, or Category 4, which are our riders in the red jerseys, which will go first. A big race field today, 114 riders on the start list. Now, Category 4 riders will be going off first, 5 minutes in front of the next group. Now, the Petite 4 squad are here once again. So, Nikki Lloyd and Simone Francis in here. And I know Nikki was out riding with Emma Martin, the normal co-host, on one of the training sessions, the live training sessions you can do here on MyWhoosh, and great to see the Petite 4 squad out and about. But in this field, lots of very strong riders. We'll go through those when our riders are away. Riders that I would definitely be watching out for today. Anybody who's got an explosive kick but can climb. Ella Vink, one of our real fast riders. Historically, In Category 4, Perry, Siciliana, Elos, Bryson and Jones are the riders to put in the attacks. Will they be the riders taking it out today? Time to see our riders hit the slopes. They are up and away. All our riders are released from the pens, and Bridget Brebner, the rider we are in with at the moment, heading out onto the course. Now, the pen to the course is tiny. We're on it now. This is the course proper. We're running along the coastline here. So this section of course we come through now. We'll go through again partway, almost halfway through the race, and then we'll go through it again at the final time. So this is a dress rehearsal for that run in to the finish. And with our first category away, Category 4, and this is we're going to watch out for who's going to be in the mix. Now, as we go round the course, the riders know that they can pick up points in the green jersey, they can pick up points in the polka dot jersey, but ultimately for the prizes, for the top 5 riders, it's about that finishing position over the line. So that is the key metric that we're looking at, who goes over that line first. So the field up and away. You can see Katie Bago leading this group out from Bridget Bremner. We've got Ferrin in here, Belly in here, Javier Arias, definitely a rider to watch. Navarez, definitely another rider who's strong here. Ella Vink, always, of course, that Vink goes well on. Natalia Idzik, though, has been absolutely on fire. Very difficult rider to beat at the moment. She's very, very strong on the longer climbs. She's strong and fast on the sprints. She's got that whole package. So will she be able to be beaten today? Will the rest of the riders be able to take away the top spot? Will we see somebody like Tajeras or Alzek climb away from Idzik? Going to be very interesting to tell. Now, here we are, just in with Anna Isabel Alzeta Valencia, tapping away nicely at the moment, tucked in this group. Just looking at the stats, top centre, you can see as Anna Isabel Alzeta Valencia keeps those legs spinning. Those legs are going at 83 revs per minute. You can see that top centre of the screen. You can see at the moment that heart rate 168. The watts around about that 160, and because the watts are in green, that's the indicator that at the moment she's drafting. So using her head as well as her legs and lungs to make sure that she's in position and not expending too much energy. Now, we've come along that long straight coastline. We go onto this elevated roadway. You can see the pedestrians at the side just cheering on our riders. And then we take this right-hand turn. Now, this sharp right-hand turn is the key indicator that we are coming in towards the finish, about 500 meters or so out. And the finish line is at the top of this hill, but this is also the first hill of the race route. The groups start to stretch out, getting out of the saddle now, starting to put down the power. The red chevrons you can see appearing on the right-hand side of the screen, showing that the rider's going into that zone 6, into that real big deep kick. Thompson at the moment leading, or Vink answering. 4 watts per kilo plus to be kicking your way up on the front. Chasing riders behind. Fiedler putting in 5 watts per kilo. So was Bremner there. So was Vink. Everybody looking to stay in, and 1 or 2 riders already being distanced. As you come over the top then, this gradient starts to diminish, and then we start the run in, and the gantry is in front. You can see that the finish line, that UCI banner, Union Cycliste Internationale, that is the governing body for cycle sport around the globe. Well, that's the finish line. The riders have 2 complete laps to do from the moment they cross this line to when they come into the finish. And that gives you a real good look at that run in. Tricky. Right-hand turn, starts climbing, gets steeper towards the top, then it starts to level, then you've got that downhill run. The ability to be strong enough to kick in, over, and push down could be critical if the riders come in together. Already 3 riders, though, distance. Just in with Annalyn Tijeros. You can see the rider in the pain cave on the left-hand side. You can see the Avatar sitting in 4th wheel, just tucked in this long line of riders at the moment. In fact, Tijeros just moving to the side there. So Tijeros nicely rolling along at the moment, just trying to drop back into the draft. Good start in Category 4. Can't believe they've been racing 4.5 minutes already. It's time to go to Category 3, our next group of riders away. Category 4 had 27 riders on the start sheets. There are currently 35 riders in Category 3 on our start sheets, including the Grind My Gear squad, the La Rosa Blanca team, the Pedal Pals as well. Very strong riders in those race teams, and getting some practice in before we go into our finals next week when those team prizes come into play. So here we are into the countdown. The second wave of riders here in qualifier number 4 are good to go. We're in with Angel Hadlock, one of our real strong riders. They know that they're launched out from the pens, and Hadlock up and away, one of the real strong riders in here. Riding for the Grind My Gear squad, along with Aileen Francisca de Silva, Novelin Kokkonen, Stefani Piccolo, and Tanya Howeiler, real who's who. Going to be very interesting to see how they get on today. Rebecca Johnson and Rosa Herrera, the La Rosa Blanca squad. The pedal pals are represented by Camilla Zulaga and Melissa Simkin as well in that pedal pals squad. Golden Light, well, we've got Golden Light here on those start lists as well. But at the moment, in with Kirsten Hamilton, one of our really strong riders, and got to be one of the hot favourites for the course today. Out on course, a really, really tough course. Now, Category 4 have gone around this course in 1 hour and 7. Category 3, the fastest times have not 6 minutes off that. 1 hour, 1 minute, 16 seconds. Fastest time set in Category 3 by Brittany Litton. As we see Novelin Kokkonen on screen. Novelin Kokkonen, one of our regular riders on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Always great to see Novelin in and racing, one of the real strong riders as well. And a rider who I would expect to be right in the mix as we go up onto the climb. The climb here in Wollongong. Really, really going to test the riders, and we'll go into a little bit more detail as we get into that part of the course. Kokkonen looking pretty smooth at the moment, 86 revs per minute. As we take a look, we've got Becker in here. Montoya, another of our great climbers in the mix. Watch out for Claudia Hyde here as well. Another rider who could go well on here. Jennifer Ellos is a rider who has the 3rd fastest time when she was in Category 4, but moved up to Category 3 now. So this clearly a course that suits her. Gina De Grazia in here. Isabella Bryson. Bryson, the rider who's got the 4th fastest time in Category 4. But Francisca de Silva sitting right up there. So the fastest 5 times is, in fact, sitting with Brittany Litton at 1:01. Amy Clift, the 2nd fastest time in the recent history. Then we've got Emily Mabbin sitting in 3rd place. We've got Aileen Francisco de Silva in 4th. And then Holly Bergin, one of our newer riders who is really making herself at home in the platform. Rider who is sitting in 5th place in terms of fastest time. Getting that fastest time, though, it's not just about what you do, it's about what the race does. And you can see already a couple of riders distance from the main group here. They're just coming around that turn as the leading riders are onto the climb. Rebecca Johnson leading the group out of the saddle here. You see kicking down, and Johnson looking very strong as she goes over the top here. 350 plus watts, 6 watts per kilo being kicked out by Johnson. That really has made riders work. The first initial group on the road with a little bit of a gap back between the leading 6 riders to the chasing pack, and it's a bit like a comet entering the Earth's atmosphere as they come up onto what is going to be the finishing straight in a couple of laps' time. Johnson has really started to wind that up. The rest of the riders in and around the mix there, but you can see Herrera right in there. Montoya, Chizekowicz, Simkin, the rider who took the victory last week, right up at the top of the tree. So 3 minutes 40 of racing done, 1.9k complete, 2k now for Joanna Warren, for Georgina Jones. Riders who we know are going to be very strong. Georgina Jones, another rider in that top 5 in terms of times in Category 4, moving up into Category 3, improving, and that's the peril, of course, of getting better, is that you go up against stiffer competition. And that then means that you're going to improve all the time. So 4 categories to start, 2 categories on the road and out and racing. Our next category to start, well, it's another rider who's moved up. We talked about Bergen with the fastest time in the top 5 in Category 3. She's now in Category 2. Your Category 2 starters. Well, none of the teams here today, although they've got lots of different riders who often are represented, and it does mean that they're going to be getting themselves together. Brittany Litton in the mix here, the rider with the fastest time in Category 3, but you've got to watch out for Lam Kong. She is the rider with the fastest time here. 58 minutes 25. She could well be on storming form here. Bergin, Prado, Montgomery, Walkenhurst. You've got Beltran, you've got Miller, you've got Svensson in here, London, Vittori, Sanchez, Casani. It's a real who's who of riders. This is going to be absolutely brutal. Away go Category 2, and already you can see the pace kicking down here very quickly. 300 plus watts to get out from the start here by Holly Bergin, the Queen of Yorkshire, as she's known. It's not an official title. One day Holly will tell me exactly where that title came from. But at the moment, they're up and away now. We're in with Lam Kong. Lam Kong is the rider who has been absolutely on fire on this course. This is a course that suits down to the ground, but she can win on pretty much any course. She's a rider who's been on the podium more than pretty much anybody else in the history of the race club. She's a really, really strong, smart rider, but up against some incredible competition. German Prado, Kim Niller. We've got Gonzalez Rush. Now, Dorothy Gonzalez Ruhr last week, storming and really aggressive on the race. Last time out, I'm sure she'll be doing that again. The riders know that they need 2 qualifying rides to go to our finals. Because we've got 4 qualifying rides, the riders who are in now, pretty much everybody's qualified and already got those rides in. They're out there to race. They're out there to try and take a top 5 position, to take away some of the fantastic prize money. It just doesn't just happen for our elite riders at the top of the race standings. All of our riders are going to be up and available a prize because, of course, top 5 in each of our race categories, in categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, they can go take away those prizes if their ride is verified. And all of the riders taking part in the Sunday Race Club have dual recording. They all have to go through the verification process, and all those rules you can find on the MyWhoosh.com website. Don't forget, whilst you're online, make sure you give MyWhoosh a follow on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. Well, it's now called X. So I'll probably have to start calling it X now. It's going to stick, isn't it? And don't forget, of course, you can watch on Twitch TV on MyWhoosh Live, or of course, make sure you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Hit that button, hit the subscribe, make sure that you get notified every time there's new content from MyWhoosh each and every week. That's the Sunday Race Club. Don't forget, of course, coverage of the World Championships. We're heading for the UCI banner now, and of course, MyWhoosh is the UCI's esports partner for 2024, 25, and 26. MyWhoosh partners and sponsors of the Road Championships in Zurich, we've mentioned already. At the moment, our Category 2 leaders on the way up here now. We've got Sanchez, Vittori, 2 very strong climbers in here. They'll come to the fore when they go onto the slopes of our climb here in Wollongong. A 17% steepest section on that climb. That is going to be really, really interesting to see how they approach that. At the moment, though, the pressure on as they go over the top. And you can see this Category 2 bunch continuing to kick as they go over the top. The front of this race pushing hard, but the group all together, the banner coming up that signifies the finish line in 2 full laps time. And this group continue to push. 1 or 2 riders just in a little bit of trouble at the back, but Svarstrom, Bergin, Giannatti, all nicely tucked in here. Gorea in the bunch, and very, very tight. And these riders trying to ride smart, trying to make sure that they stay out of trouble, stay in the draft, save their energy. Over the top they go. Now, good to see 2 of our regular faces on the Sunday Race Club. So, whilst it may be a morning across in the UK, I know it's a little bit later, where Angelica Altamirano and German Prado are. So, hello to our 2 riders from the Philippines, riding side by side in the same place. And good to see Angelica and German back with us. German Prado, multi-time champion. Angelica Altamirano, another strong rider from the Philippines. We've got riders who qualified here into those semi-finals through the public qualification, really working as a team. And it was great to see the riders from the Philippines doing that. Who's going to be in there? Well, we're going to see in those finals the riders that we see in our Category 1 in Profusion. Represented teams here today on the Sunday Race Club Qualifier 4. Feto Skier Joanna Coleman, Roberta Bassoni, and Sofia Giovanni. We have for the peak performers Amelia Van Hove and Kristen Kolczynski. For sweat sensations, Amelia Velt, Catherine Fuhr, Merle Bruni, and Mina Koistonen. Now, these are our team riders. They contain some of our favourites, but not all by any stretch of the imagination. These riders are about to hit the start. The last race start here in qualifier number 4 in the women's competition. It's time to go racing. It's time to hit the roads of Australia in Wollongong. This circuit of 35 kilometres, 502 metres. And we're in with Mary Kate McCarthy. Absolutely blistering ride by Mary Kate McCarthy last week. It was a real interesting battle between her and the rest of the race. Phil chased hard, and eventually, I mean, there's not many people that have beaten Catherine Fuhr on the Sunday Race Club in recent times because Fuhr is absolutely flying. But Kolczynski and McCarthy have taken victories, and it's going to be very interesting to see whether they can repeat that today on this course, because this course is it's 2 climbs, but it's not flat virtually anywhere. In fact, this is the flattest, pretty much the only absolutely flat section of courses coming down and through past the Pens. And it's going to be really testing here. Now, just in with Monica Rona. Rona getting increasingly strong. Just got her tucked into the group. Tiffany Penner, the rider we're watching now, one of our younger riders from Canada, representing Canada in those MyWhoosh semi-finals. Great to see Penner in action, and a rider who really is excelling here on the Sunday Race Club. Really interesting to watch Tiffany Penner's training as well on the social media feeds. Lots of strength work, lots of getting that power and making sure that it's a deliverable in the right way as well. And mixing our older and newer riders on the platform. So Penner, relatively recent. Celine Colombi has been one of our regular riders for a long time. Colombi in the top 5 fastest riders here. Celine Colombi, the 3rd fastest rider ever on this course here in Wollongong, because the fastest time set by Catherine Fuhr, a 54-minute 36. Koistonen, almost exactly the same time. It's fractions of a second. Colombi right behind. Bruni and Holcroft, in fact, making up the top 5. And all of that set on the same date. And that was at the end of March in our finals. Will we see a faster time today? Well, time will tell. That clock is ticking. The clock isn't ticking any longer for the riders to get to the climb in Category 4. It's ticking because they're on the climb and on to the ascent. The first ascent here in Wollongong. They're on to part 1 of this 2-stage climb, as you saw in that course profile. When we hit 9.7k, the road goes upwards. The first part, 9 to 10% at steepest. You can see the course profile top right-hand side of your screen. The white line is the line indicating the profile. The yellow vertical bar, that is where our riders are at the moment. Natalia Idzik, the rider we're watching on screen in both the picture and the main screen. And Natalia Idzik, one of the hot favourites here today. Really powerful, strong rider. And this could well be another course that suits her as we go on to the climb. The group out of the saddle now, starting to kick down. 1 or 2 riders starting to get distance as they continue to push. Dejera setting the pace on the front here. 4.3 watts per kilo. Bremner going with her. Alza with her. Idzik looks like the rider Gaviria Arias, as well as Alza, Bago and Vink in the mix. But behind those riders, it's starting to get stretched. Ferren at 1 second. Naves at 2. Thompson at 8, and distanced. This is not big distance because we're on the climb, because this is steep. You don't need very, very long for a big time gap to open, even though the distance isn't great. And that's simple physics. At the moment, Thompson here has to put the work in. She's got to keep on pushing. She'll want to close down. Feel it in that green skin suit of the rider who took the points, the fastest time through that sprint segment. However, that sprint segment is not the key thing here today. It gives us a snapshot on the race and it tells you who's sprinting well, but on this course with so much elevation gain, it's going to be tough. The riders heading up towards the top of the climb. They're then going to drop down and then they go into part 2 where it's not 10%, it's 17% at its steepest. Now, This is the sprint segment, the City Beach Sprint. In through they go, and that is our Category 2 women's race lead as they go through. The fastest time set by Maria Marb, the rider going through in that group. But since that group came through, Julia Montgomery put in a faster time in. It's tied on time. So interestingly, Montgomery goes to the top of the tables, 27.771. Marb 27.771. Becker 27.785. In fact, the top 9 there, they are separated by less than 0.1, less than a tenth of a second separated. That is how quick. And remember, that is not the time from the start to that point. It's not fastest across the line. It's the fastest through that sector, through that sprint time that counts. And because the bunch basically all moving at almost exactly the same speed and hardly changing position, they stayed in there. So Category 2, left-hand side of your screen through the sprint heading in towards the main climb. For the first time, Category 4 onto part 2 of that climb. The 2 chasing riders behind this leading bunch starting to try and push back, but 7 riders in that race lead at the moment. Izik, Tajeras, Vink, Bremner, Goodall, Alza, Bago, all in this leading group. Alza again is starting to set the pace. Tajeras looking pretty comfy here. Vink in the mix as well. They've got to keep pushing, though. You can't let the gaps go on this climb behind. It is a real string of riders strung out behind with gaps opening up. Alza looking strong. Bago looking good. Bremner's looking good in Category 4. They're on the second part, heading towards the summit. Category 3, they're coming into the base of the climb here. So this is the start of Wollongong Climb. This is the start of the pain. This is where things get tough. And this is where you've really got to push. You've got to keep on going in here. This is going to be really, really critical. It might only be 2.1 kilometers long. But I'll tell you something, those 100 meters of elevation, the average gradient 4.8, absolutely bobbins though, because the average here includes that downhill, and you've got to be able to climb the 10% slopes, the 17% slopes really, really well. The second part, really tough with that steep entrance and steep top section. Took over though, tunes on. You got the is on there, and the rider there from Czechia, I think, judging by that, from the Nathan Shaw PB squad, really pushing hard here. Took over out of the saddle with Johnson, with Montoya, Tomkinson, De Silva, Vasquez, Simkin in the mix, Kokoden. This is still a big group. They're going to need to break this down, and this is often the way this course runs. The riders are knocking 1 or 2 off the back. The attrition starts to take its toll. The constant climbing. And just taking a look at this little run through, it looks like it's Vasquez, the first of the riders to be distanced here. Becker being distanced. Kirsten Hamilton just at the back of the group. I suspect 1 second off the back. That is closable for a rider of the talents of Hamilton, but at the moment that gap is going out rather than coming back down. Jennifer Atlas in here. Stefani Piccolo, great climber Piccolo. Will she be able to mix it up at the front of the race today? Well, time is going to tell. The riders catching riders in Category 4. And if you're new to Sunday Race Club, those of you that are not new will have heard this plenty of times. All our riders can draft each other. It doesn't matter whether you're Category 1, 2, 3, or 4. You can draft the riders in other categories. And what that does is that really does give the riders who are being caught a little bit of help on the way through. It means that they get the experience of riding with people who are faster than them. That's going to encourage them to ride faster, maybe realize that they can go faster than they think. It's a great way of making that racing and getting tighter at the front. It means nobody can relax, of course, because if you eased off too much at the front, you get pulled back through. And that is why we have it in that direction. It really works well. It also means that we can cover all 4 of our race categories from start to finish here on MyWhoosh. The same coverage across the men's and the women's, the same prizing across the men's and the women's. One of the reasons I'm sure that MyWhoosh is the UCI partner, the UCI making sure that their races have that same prize money in the World Cups, for example. Across the various disciplines and in the World Championships. Fantastic to see that. Now, Category 1 through the sprint section, through that Beach City Sprint. The quick run through 5.5 to 5.8k, 300 meters, the fastest time. Well, look at this, category 1 already racing. Now, in some of our previous races that you'll have seen, which aren't on the Wollongong course, you often see category 1 just taking it steady through that sprint. At the moment, because this is a really tough course and everybody goes from the gun, the fastest time with category 1. Kolowitz, Van Shore, Tidholm, Columbia, Kolchinsky, Van Hove, Engstrom, Pennant, Fuhr, and Holdcroft. They are the top 10. And in there, you can see we've got riders like Kolchinsky, who's likely to be up there. We've got Fuhr up there. We've got Holdcroft up there. One or two riders maybe that we would expect to be there. Not there at the moment, but that is likely to change. I'll have to see whether it does or not. At the moment, we are looking pretty good for the riders to be in a fast time here today. Category 1 absolutely flying. Left-hand side of the screen, 6.5k covered. Right-hand side, leading riders in Category 3. The leaders in Category 4 have gone over the top already. And Category 3 are not far from the summit. Now, riders absolutely flying around the steep slopes at the moment, posing no real problem for the riders. When we come off the summit, it's 6.4 kilometers to the finishing line to complete lap number 1. And at the moment, the women's qualifier race number 4 absolutely flying around the course. Over the top of the Wollongong climb at the end of lap number 1. We've seen Hannah Goodall go over with Ella Vink, Natalia Idzik, Isabel Azak, Kitty Bago, and Bridget Bremner. They were the leading riders going over. They were followed by Tajeros. Then it was going to be the chasers behind. So that leading group in category 4 going over, and it's certainly looking like they're in 1s and 2s behind. Category 3, well, the summit is nearly in sight on the right-hand side there. We're just in with Takova. She's pushing on the right, trying to keep the pace nice and high, looking very focused, very controlled. Columbia, left-hand side, looking pretty warm at the moment, and the pace is red hot at the moment, certainly in all of our race categories, racing around the course here on MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club on qualifier race number 4. Columbia looking strong now. Time to see who is going to melt like a cheap ice cream, dropped on the pavement, and who is going to be a premium glacé gelato. We're going to have to find out. Time to see who can climb the category 1 on the way into that climb starting at 9.7. Category 3, they're already heading into the final slope. So category 2, well, they're just approaching the top of part 1, and already that race breaking up. Riders in 1s and 2s dropping off the back as the leaders go over the 10.4k. Big names right up in here, though. Kasani, Davidson, Vittori, London, Gonzalez, Rue, again, all in this leading group in category 2 in the green on the left and the right-hand side. You can see Johnson, Kokkonen, Takova. Here we go. We're going to watch them go up and over the top. In front of them, 12, I think it's going to be 13 of the category 4 riders will have gone through as they go up onto the top. So 13 riders, Amy Thompson, the last of those riders in category 4 going over as Takova goes over the top, leads them through. This is a select group here of category 3 riders, 6 riders going clear. 7 riders in category 4 clear at the front, 6 riders in category 3. Takova, Kokkonen, Johnson, Simkin, Francisco da Silva, and Vasquez. The 6 riders in category 3 with a gap, and it's a big gap as they've gone over the top there. Takova with the fastest time, pulling on the polka dot skin suit, so she scores maximum points at the moment, the fastest time in her category. Big kick here from Vasquez, gets onto the back of this group. This is going to be really, really key. Interesting to see that Thompson has managed to stay with these riders, going to swell the numbers. That's going to aid them with the draft. The more riders in the group, the more draft effect, the more people there are to take turns, the quicker you're going to go. 7 in category 4, 6 in category 3. This is the leading group in category 2. At the moment, it's got a lot of riders at the front. There's a train behind, just in with Sarah London here. And you can see just how warm it is here. London really working well, continuing to push here. Really fighting to stay with that leading group. They're just starting to open a gap. London has to really squeeze now. Don't let that gap go. You can see Svarstrom in front. Once it's gone, this is a chance to come back. So the second part here, steep. It levels off a little. The gradient drops a bit. London has got the So riders approaching the summit here, looking good, really looking like they're pushing well as they go up over onto the top of the climb here in category 2. They're not far from the summit. This is your leading group. The gap has opened up behind. You can see the gaps showing on the left-hand side. The dot to dot is not dot to dot anymore. This is really, really tough as they come up here. Davidson in this group here, trying to push on with Gonzalez Rua, with Vittori, Svarstrom in the mix as well. But these riders on your screen are leading the race out and have put the rest in trouble. Montgomery is the nearest rider. We'd seen 7, then 6. We're down to 4 here, but behind, they are not far behind. If there's a big group behind, if they can get themselves together, they're going to push on. Gonzalez Rua out of the saddle in real life, out the saddle in the avatar as well, continuing to work hard here, but looking good at the moment on the front with Svarstrom, with Davison, with Vittori all in the mix. Montgomery is not out of this, neither is Cassani. They're at 4-5 seconds behind, but they could make that group back. They could make that gap back. So at the moment, looking very, very strong. So here we go, down onto the descent. 4 riders at the front, a little bit of a gap. It's a category 3 rider, Palmer Mongeli, who is in between with Giraldo. You can see behind the 2 chasing riders. Then there's more just coming over the summit now. This is going to be tough stuff. So Gonzalez, Rua, Vittori, Svarstrom, Davidson going in and through. Then you've got this chasing group, Cassani, Montgomery, Jara Miller, Giannatti, Marb, then Paulson, London, Sanchez, Prado, Guerrero, and Lam Kong at the moment. They're your top 15 riders in the category 2 race. They're over the top of the climb. We've got riders in 1s and 2s in small groups. This is going to be really critical that these riders get themselves together. If you're not in a group that is close together, you are going to find yourself in trouble really, really fast. Because if you cannot get yourself back into the pack, then you're going to find yourself getting distanced. Now, in with Julian Montgomery here, one of our real fast riders. Got Cassani in this group. Got some help, though, because you've got Mongeli and Giraldo, both strong riders in Category 3. And on the descent, this is about getting in the draft and using technique as much as it is about having the power that comes from being in a further group down the road. Let's take a look across Category 1. Already the attacks are going down here. Mary-Kate McCarthy really got her confidence on a high here. She's unlocked the chest of confidence. She's pulled out the great big badge of honor of being a winner. She's on form. She's flying. She's got Fuad on her wheel. Kolchinsky's at 1 second. This is Kolchinsky territory. Going uphill, going up the climbs. It's shorter than Kolchinsky would like, but she could not be discounted when the road points skywards. Columbi showing that this is indeed a course that suits her, right in the mix, in the top 4. Then the gap back to Holcroft and Kolowitz. 13 seconds. 13 seconds. Where's that come from? 13 seconds opened up. It shows you these steep slopes of these climbs here in Wollongong really is blowing this race apart. it opens up a gap in seconds, and then you see these riders start to fly, and then the gaps open. Then you see the pressure being put on, and we see riders in ones and twos. Cornelia Engstrom in here, sitting just a little bit further back, still inside the top 10 here on the wheel of Tiffany Penner just in front. Then it's going to be Van Shaw. Then you're into that Kolkowitz and Holcroft group. So Holcroft in what is going to be a fifth place. You've got a sixth, I think, at the moment for Kolowitz, a seventh for Van Shaw, eighth Penner, ninth for Engstrom on the road at the moment. We'll confirm these as they go up and over the top of the climb. They're approaching the summit now. These are your leaders, and that gap has opened to 28 seconds. Come the steep section, comes down the power. Here goes the pressure. Here goes the gap, and all of a sudden we have a leading group of 4 riders. Behind, though, the groups are coming back together again, and this means it's going to turn into a team pursuit on the descent and rounding towards that finishing line. Remember, to get round to the finish line, it's 6.4k. The rider's going to go straight through it and back round onto this climb. So the first time over the climb is done in category 1 for our leaders. The leading 4 are through. Behind, the chase is on. Holcroft currently sitting in 5th place with Kolowitz, Van Shaw, and Engstrom, Penner, Van Hove. Amelia Van Hove, a big gap back to Van Hove. Expected her to be a little bit closer than Tidholm. These riders, though, over the top, going through Kolowitz wearing the green skin suit of the sprint leader, but that sprint power not working here. Now, let's take a look at the time. 4 minutes, 54.49, absolutely flying time there from Catherine Fuhr in 1. Mary-Kate McCarthy in 2. And remember, these are the fastest time on the climb, not necessarily the first rider over the line. So whose time was fastest from the base to the top of the climb? Fuhr in 1, McCarthy in 2, 0.128 of a second back. Kolczynski in 3 here. She's sitting 7.2. Sorry, it's a 0.72, 0.895 for Columbia. So they're your leading 4. Then 28.181 seconds back is Holcroft with Kolowitz. Then you've got Van Shaw coming through at 31 seconds. Engstrom, Penner, and Van Hove, all the wrong side of 40 seconds deficit to Catherine Fuhr's time. That's some big gaps to make up. But if groups work together, they can pull back riders in 1s and 2s. But is this the top 4 already pretty much decided? These aren't going to be the riders who are going to be in the 4. Can anybody pull them back? Holcroft and Kolowitz are at 35 seconds at the moment. Can they bring that back? Can they bring that gap down? Big ask. The riders on the descent in category 1 coming off the slopes. Category 2, well, the leaders at the moment with that gap to Julian Montgomery of 4 seconds on the right hand side of your screen. They're onto the flatter section here. This is going to be really interesting now. So Montgomery needs to get back onto the wheels of Svarstrom, Kasani, Davidson, and Gonzalez Ruhr in the front group here. Poulsen is at 3 seconds. Lundin is a little bit further back than that, but the leading group here, Vittori, Gonzalez, Ruhr, Davidson, Kasani, Svarstrom, and what should be Montgomery should make this back. They've been working hard. The group was it was 4 riders going over the top. We've got 5 in there now. It's going to be Montgomery who's going to make it 6. Kasani here working hard. You can see Asulia Kasani, that fan blown, trying to keep it cool there, keeping focused on the screen, spinning those legs around, making sure that she's sat in that draft as much as possible, getting the heart rate down, getting that recovery in. Really key. The riders just can't go flat out from start to finish. So this is going to be really critical. Now, the gap's coming down. Poulsen's at 1 second. So is Giannatti. This is going to put riders back in the mix. And just because a rider was distanced on the first time up the climb doesn't mean those riders will be distanced on the second time up the climb. Because riders' form will change, and the way that they can ride can change through the race. Some riders are strong, have the same power start to finish. Other riders start strong and then will fade. Other riders will get better as the racing goes on and as we progress through this race. So we've got to really watch who's in that mix. Marb has made it back into that group. So this is going to be a real big mix of riders. So at the moment, the group as there is going to be very interesting to see just how far we are going back. Victoria is the first rider in the group. Meanwhile, we're just taking a little look. Karolina Jezikowicz in here with Joanna Warren in category 3. They're going to see that group behind coming up pretty quick here, and this will give them the opportunity to jump in. There's a little bit more flat ground. I'd have hoped getting caught a little bit closer. In with Karolina Jezikowicz. Jezikowicz gets some recovery done at the moment. They're just continuing to push. She's going to want to accelerate up when this group comes in. So taking a deep breath now, really, really critical. Taking in some oxygen. Just give those legs a little bit of a rest. And then as the group starts to come up, pick up the pace, pick up the speed so that you can try and jump in. Now, as we go on to the climbing section, which is around and on to the turn, so we do the right-hand turn and on. If they get caught there, it's going to be really difficult for these two riders. Really interested to watch this. This is where having great technique is going to help. So if Jezikowicz and Warren can pick the pace up and go with the riders, they'll have a little bit of chance going over the top through the line to stay with them, but they've got to watch where this group is. If they can get over the climb in front and then get caught, they've got even more chance. But look at this pack of category 2 leaders behind. That big green mass is chasing them down. The two riders from category 3 in the blue, seeing the leaders come, and look at the difference in pace. When it goes uphill, that gap absolutely plummets. The distance is brought down, and you can see real pressure coming on here as they come up. Looks like Jezikowicz answering this. She's making the move. So is Warren. Jezikowicz putting a real big kick there. And this means that she's going to be with them over the top. She can sit in this group and gain some draft advantage, save some energy. Generally, what you find, 20% or so of your energy is saved when you're riding behind another rider. Now, that can go right up. If you're in a nice big bunch of 200, 300, 400 riders, it's absolutely huge. You're virtually not having to do anything. However, when you've got a group of 2, then you're one of them. That's not, you're going to be doing 50% of the work, or you should be, and you're not going to get as much draft advantage when you're hiding behind. So good riding there by Jezikowicz. She's made that group, and I think Warren also in there. So good to see those riders jumping in the pack in category 2. All 4 groups of leaders on your screen. Category 1 top of the screen, category 2 in green, category 3 in blue, and category 4 in the red. They're your 4 race categories. Category 1, the fastest riders on the road at the moment, but they're at 16.8k. 18.9 for category 2 leaders, 20.3 for category 3 leaders, and 22 kilometers covered for category 4 leaders. And they know that they're getting very close to coming into the climb for the second time. 26.3 is the number they'll all have in their head, because that is the start of the climb. Once they're onto the climb, they know the climb inside out. If you're a new rider, it always pays to go ride the race route. Can't stress enough how important it is to ride it. And even when you ride it, it's different to when you race it, because when you race it, that is different again. So by go in this leading group with Vink, with Goodall, with Idzik, with Alzate. Those 5 riders ahead of Bridget Bremner, currently in 6th place, 42 seconds down to Jeros, the earliest pace setter on the climb, currently in 7th place, 1 minute and 4. And then we're running out the top 10, separated by over 3 minutes. 10 riders in category 4, 11 riders clear of the category 3 chasers. Really interesting to see here, going through the sprint that time round. These riders really pushing on. You can see, though, Goodall, the rider that we're following in category 4, with the gap on the right-hand side to the chasing riders behind. Naviez, the rider in 10th place, is going to be the first rider who's going to see the category 3 leaders. They're not that far behind. Takova goes over in the over the top of that brow of the hill into this long gradual descent. There's a steep little kicker at the end of this, and this is why this course is so tough. It is not flat pretty much anywhere but that Penn section area down on the coastline, and that really does test the riders So the Category 4 riders going in and through, top 7 riders in through the beach sprint already. In Category 3, they're not all that far behind. They've got this steep little kicker here, and you can see out of the saddle the pressure going down here. Is anybody going to go for a long one, try and attack early? I think everybody's saving their energy as they go into the climb. Quick reminder, of course, 5 riders to take away prizes in each of our race categories. So the top 5 riders in Category 4, top 5 in Category 3, top 5 in Category 2, and the top 5 in Category 1 take away those prizes. Category 1 prize 10,000 AED for the individual winner here today. And of course, next week we have the team competition coming into play. The teams need a minimum of 3 riders to count, and it's 3 riders time that counts. Maximum of 5 riders in the team. Not all of our riders have got their team sorted for next week for the finals, and the team prizes are huge. 50,000 AED for the Category 1 team winners. 5 teams in the prizes, 5 riders in the prizes. Next week, in terms of individual prizes, it's 5. In terms of team prizes, it's 5 in each and every one of our categories. So it really does pay to jump on board. If you haven't been riding, next week you have to have qualified. So you do need to do 2 qualifiers to go into our finals. As we take a little bit of a look into this race field here, the Category 3 leading group, Johnson at the bottom of your screen, Takova just taking on board a gel. Centre of those 3 rider images, Kekkonen sitting at the top of the screen there, and 3 very different styles here, just lent over a little more. Johnson just putting a little bit more pressure into Takova sitting in the middle, and Kekkonen just increasingly more right by the look of it as they go through. But the riders at the moment knowing that they have got racing to do. 40 minutes covered for Category 3. Do you know what? Let's have a look, I think, at just what it means to take away here in terms of the value of the prizes here today. Because me saying to you, yeah, we've got 5 prizes individually and 5 for the team. Well, it's not as good as seeing it, is it? So let's have a look here at the prizes for our riders, both in the qualifiers and in the team competition. Now, we're in a qualifying race, so that means we are on the right-hand side of your screen. Individually, Category 4, taking away from 2,160 AED for first to 432 AED for fifth. Next week, you can add into that, because next week is our monthly final, 10,800 AED for our first team, down to 1,080 AED for the 5th team. Big prizes. Not as big though as Category 3, because when we move from 4 to 3, we move up in prizes. 3,600 AED for the winner of the race in Category 3 today. The winning team next week will take away 18,000 AED for first, down to 1,800 AED for 5th, as well as that individual classification. When we move from 3 to 2, again the prizes go up. So individually, 6,000 for the win, down to 1,200 for 5th today. The same next week, but with the addition of that team competition, 30,000 AED for the winners in Category 2, right the way down to 3,000 AED for 5th place in that team competition. Remember, 3 riders to count for that team. 5 is the maximum. It's gone up from 4 to 3, from 3 to 2, and it goes up from 2 to 1. 10,000 AED for the win today, 8,000 AED for second, 6,000 AED for third, 4,000 AED for fourth, and it is 2,000 AED for fifth. The team competition, well, 5th place, 5,000 AED, 4th place, 10,000 AED, 3rd place, 20,000 AED, 2nd place, 30,000 AED, and the winning team next week will take away 50,000. I'm going to say that again, 50,000 AED. An absolutely phenomenal amount, and it shows you just why the Sunday Race Club is popular with the riders, and hopefully that money helping our riders become professional. Now, not everybody can spend AED. Those riders who are going to the World Championship finals can, and normally we would bring you Emma's Exchange. However, as you'll know if you're watching the start of the show, if you've watched the Virtual Velo podcast where I was guest host this week, then you will know that Emma is in Zurich. So whilst Emma is spending Swiss francs over in Zurich, you're going to have to use one of the competition to get your exchange. Don't tell Emma I told you to go somewhere else and not use Emma's exchange. I will be in trouble when she comes back into the studio. However, lots of exchange providers out there let you go out there and work out just how much in your currency 50,000 AED is for that team win. And then when you go, oh my goodness, that's a huge amount, you'll have in your head, Matt said, yeah, I told you so. It's a lot of money. Right, down into the racing category 1, the riders who potentially will be in the running for that 50,000 AED on the left-hand side of your screen, 21.6k covered. The leaders in category 4, they are down the road, 26.3k. They've hit the banner. They're on the start. Vink, Bago, Idzik, Alza, Goodall. 5 riders, 5 prizes. What order will that be? Who's taking away the biggest prize at the end of this? Can they go clear on the climb? Remember, from the top of the climb, it is not a straightforward run to the line. It is 6.4k. And that means that if you go away solo, you could have a big chasing pack. It has been done multiple times, though. It's not an impossible mission. You're going to see who's going to be able to complete this mission, though, should they choose to accept it very shortly in all 4 categories. Category 4 onto the climb, 3 are not far behind. Then it'll be Category 2, then our Category 1 leaders. Category 1 leaders, 22.2k. So they are currently 4.1k off the base of that climb. Here they go through the sprint section, the Beach City Sprint on lap number 2. At the moment, the fastest time being set by Rosa Herrera in Category 3. A lot of the riders are really the chasers, chasing groups on the way around. All these riders' powers, it looks like not too many going for the sprint. Maria Holcroft, though, just putting a big kick in here. They're 12 seconds off the leading group. Holcroft just hitting out here. I think she knows that the chances of pulling back the leading group is not there. So Holcroft putting in a big kick, and you can see that's been rewarded. She goes through. Penner, who is on her wheel as they went in through there, just gone off in, just rolled over the top there. Tiffany Penner going through a similar time, 4.94. Kolowitz, who is also in that group, going through 0.537. Herrero, who is the Category 3 rider in there. And interestingly, when you look at the time, just in 300 meters, they took 2 seconds out of the lead there by sprinting. But can they continue that onwards? Because the gap at the moment, 12 seconds to the lead. As you can see, the dots of yellow in front of them. And at that basis, 6 sprints like that, and you would take yourself onto the wheel of the leaders. If you can get 2 seconds back per sprint, if these riders get themselves together, 3 riders, 6 sprints, can they do it? Well, it's doable, but will they want to expend that energy? And the answer is going to be no, because to do that kind of sprint 6 times is going to take a lot out of your body. Probably not the wisest course of action. So from Category 1 across to the Category 3 leaders, they've closed down all but 9 of our riders in Category 4. The Category 4 leaders already making the way over the top of the first part of the climb and heading in towards part 2. Category 3 go underneath the polka dot banner and on to the climb for the second time. This is your leading group: Johnson, Takova, Vasquez, De Silva, Kekkonen. They're going to see who is going to take away the prizes at the end of this, and Johnson's kicking in early here, so she's going to lead them on to this climb on these lower slopes here, the gradient increasing. Remember, it maxes out at about 10% as we come up this first section. We drop down, and then it's about carrying momentum. So at the moment, Johnson, Takova, Kekkonen, Vasquez, Simkin, De Silva, those are the 6 riders. 6 riders, 5 prizes. one of these riders is going to be disappointed. Who is going to be out of the mix? Johnson here looking to put the riders in trouble early on. If any of these riders falter, if more than two of them drop off the back and they get caught, there is another pack. You see that second chasing pack not that far down the road at the moment. You can see them on the left-hand side of your screen. That gap is about 19 seconds coming into the base of the climb. We'll see if it's 19 seconds to get to the top. If this group look at each other, then that gap will go out even further. But this is the chasing group in Group 2. Tompkinson, Elos, Montoya and Hamilton chasing a 20-second gap. Dowling is only 4 seconds off the back of this group, so there is very similar numbers in the leading group to this group. Tompkinson leading the second group up. This is group number 1 though on your screens now. So Johnson still leading the group. Takova, De Silva, Simkin, Kekkonen, Vasquez. This is a difficult choice now. How hard do you go on part 1? You're coming up to the top. You could stretch a gap if there's a gap. If there's not a gap, better just to hold your pace and then use the momentum off the other side to spring it into part 2. Category 3 going over the top of part 1 of the second ascent of the Wollongong climb. Category 2 hitting the early slopes here. The leaders, Dana Davidson leading, Gonzalez Ruiz sitting in second position in that polka dot skin suit, yellow cap on. Then you've got Paulson just moving up on the side here. So Paulson looking strong. Davidson, Gonzalez Ruiz, Vittori, Svardstrom in the mix here. This is going to be really key. 1 or 2 riders already feeling the pace and dropping back. Montgomery at 2 seconds. Jaramillo's gone. It looks to me like we're going to see a lot of damage being done here. Jaramillo sitting at 3 seconds. And it looks to me like the gaps are opening up. Going to be critical. This is Jaramillo that we're in with. Marby's at 6 seconds. Kasani's at 7. They're out with the back of this group. But Jaramillo and Montgomery are pulling themselves back into contention here. They're going to pick up the next rider on course. It's 6 seconds up to the leader of the group. Can they continue to push right up to Davidson, all the way up to Gonzalez Ruiz, to Svarstrom, to London Giannatti, to the leading riders? Going to be really tough stuff going up over the top of the climb now. This is part 1 of the climb. We drop down into the descent. The speed picks up. Currently motoring at 38 kilometers an hour, going over the 40 mark. It'll soon be going over 50. Here we go. Over 50 kph at the moment. Now over 60, but the descent is going to end. The momentum you've got now, it's about carrying you through and onto this first steep slope. The profile, top right-hand side of your screen, you can see the riders indicated by the yellow vertical line in the center of the dip. In Category 2, they're approaching part 2. So, Category 4 leader, Katie Bago, bottom right-hand side of your screen, with a gap to Vink, to Idzik, to Elzit, to Goodall, Bremner and co. They're strung out in a long line. They're on the upper slopes of part 2 of this climb, not all that far behind. Category 3, bottom left-hand side of your screen, Takova, Simkin, De Silva, Johnson, Vasquez, all in the mix. Category 2, well, it is going to be really interesting because they are on the start of the second part of the climb as Category 1 enter the base of the climb. Fua, McCarthy, Kolchinsky, Columbi. Will they break apart? Will they have to save their energy for a sprint? There are some riders in there that will need to go on the climb. So Category 4 furthest up the climb, Category 3 chasing 2 a little bit further down, and then Category 1 at the base of the climb. This will be a testing climb for all the riders. It's the last time up the Wollongong climb. You've got to treat the summit like a finish line, to quote my co-host Emma Martin. However, 6.4k from the summit to the finishing line, but down on the coaster, then that little climb out. You're going to need something left. Who's going to break here? Bago, Vink, Idzik, then the gap back to Goodall. It's 8 seconds to the 4th place rider, Alzet and Bremner. They're in trouble. Bremner's 1 minute back. Alzet's 14 seconds back. And it's Alzet who's paid the price on this climb. Now the leaders, are they going to continue to push? This is Goodall. They've got a gap of about 20 seconds, and then it's 7 seconds back to Alzate. So Bago, Vink and Idzik, the riders over the top. 8-minute time up that climb, 8:01.597 for our leader. The fastest time up, they're going to Bago, the rider in 3rd place on the road. Vink, collecting the most points on the 2 climbs pools on that skin suit. She's going to be our polka dot skin suit to the line because there are no other categorized climbs on this race route. Category 4, over the top, Vink, Idzik and Bago together. Goodall at 10 seconds at the moment. Elsa at 20 seconds. They're your top 5. Immediately behind them, the group on the left-hand side of your screen. The leaders in Category 3, Johnson, Takova, Simkin and De Silva in the group. You can see Vasquez is in the group and Bremner, the rider in Category 4, is in between the leaders and the chasers. So is Tajeros. So there's a decent-sized gap now between these leading riders, but there are more riders than there are prizes. They'll all want to take away race victory. The Category 3 riders approaching the summit of the climb for the first time. They were over. It was a fantastic kick over the top that broke this group clear. The second time they go over, you can see the results on your screen. Kokkonen with the fastest time. Takova leading them over, though, in that polka dot skin suit and going to be holding on to that. Then De Silva, Johnson, Vasquez and Simkin, your 6 riders in Category 3, leading the race out as you go over the climb for the final time. The 2 ascents done and dusted. They're on to the descent as the leaders in Category 2 approach the summit now. Anna Svanstrom, Serena Vittori at 1 second, Giannatti at 2, Davidson at 3. The pressure being put on here. Anna Svanstrom of Sweden really attacking the top of this summit. She wants to hurt those legs going over the top. She will want to distance riders as they go in through. She'll want to take some of the sting out of the good sprinters in here. So Svanstrom over in 1, then Vittori, then Giannatti, then Gonzalez Rua going through, then Davidson. They are your top 5 riders. Jaramillo is going to be the 6th rider over the top of that climb, but she's lost a serious amount of time, and the prize winners are going to come from the leading group in Category 2. So, Category 4, Category 3, Category 2, over the summit. Category 1, they're already onto the climb as well. Left-hand side of your screen, McCarthy on the attack at the moment. Kolczynski answering it, so is Fua. Colombi's the rider in trouble now. It looks like Celine Colombi is the rider being put in trouble by Kate McCarthy. McCarthy stamping on those pedals, really kicking on this slightly easier section. And I say easier because it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. And I tell you something, Kate McCarthy is making it harder than maybe she would have wanted, I think, if it was somebody else on the front. But McCarthy setting the pace behind her. Fua has answered and stayed on the wheels. Kolczynski on that brutal attack has lost 3 seconds here. Colombia's lost 8 seconds at the moment. Will McCarthy and Fua do a team time trial to the end and then sprint it out? Kolczynski's coming back. The kick comes from Kristen Kolczynski. She knows that this sort of work is what she needs to do. Great chat with her on the Virtual Velo podcast. So over the top of the climb, the gap has opened up. It is Kolczynski who has had to put the chase in, and she's not made it. She's dropped back to Colombi. They are chasing hard behind. This is really, really tough stuff. It looks to me like we've got McCarthy and Fua's time there. Look at the gap, 9 seconds, 0.503510. Colombian Kolczynski being distanced by McCarthy and Fua. Huge, huge, huge gaps back behind because nobody else in Category 1 has come over the summit. They're still fighting their way up. It's going to be Holcroft, Kolowitz, then Van Hove and Engstrom who are chasing now. Holcroft goes over the top, losing 41 seconds on that climb alone. That is brutal riding, handing it out to everybody else. Mary Kate McCarthy on the attack on the climb. Fua the only rider that could answer. The chasing riders are in 2s and 3s behind. So Vink in Category 4. The furthest rider down the course, 32.5k covered at the moment. Leading this group out, it is Ella Vink. She's got a gap on all the rest of the riders. She's gone clear. She's done a Vink on the Vink course, which got its name for solo attacks coming in towards the finish. Can she hold off Bago? Idzik, 23 seconds to that duo. 34 seconds back is Goodall. Alzet's at 55. She should be able to do it, but she cannot afford to blow it. She's got to hold right on the limit of her strength here, of her pace. She's got to keep tapping the rhythm out. What she can't afford to do is back off too much and get caught. Meanwhile, on Vink turn, as it's known, on that left-hand flyover, Nikola Takova putting the pressure on. Kokoden, Johnson, Vasquez answering it. So is Simkin. This is not going to be over. Surely this is going to come down to a sprint in Category 3. Category 2 chase leading group are already onto the flyover as well behind them. This could come all together. Svardstrom with a gap at the moment to Gianatti and co. leading out the Category 2 race. Davidson's at 8 seconds. So is Vittori. This is going to be an absolutely fascinating run to the finish. Category 3, right-hand side, Takova, Johnson, Kokkonen, Vasquez, De Silva and Simkin are not out of it. Any of those riders behind Takova, they can make this catch back and are doing so as we speak. This is going to come down to a 5-up sprint. Left-hand side of your screen, Svarstrom's been pulled back by Vittori, by Gianatti, by Davidson and by Gonzalez Rua. This will also come down to a 5-up sprint in Category 2, surely, unless somebody can break away. But they have got one rider down the road there chasing. I think we're just going to take it. I'm just going to take a little bit of a look. Svarstrom 10 seconds up the road. So 10 seconds up the road for Svarstrom from the rest of the group. Leaders, solo leaders in Categories 4 and in Category 2 with a gap, with chasers behind. Category 3, there's going to be a sprint for the first place, but in the other two categories, in Category 2 and 4, it's going to be a sprint for second, third, fourth and fifth place. It's going to be frantic. It's going to be tough stuff. Who is going to be able to hold the line? Who's going to be able to hold the pace here today? Going to be very interesting to see who's got that power, that pace, that strength. We're looking at the Category 3 left-hand side at the moment. That is a big old group together. Now, all 4 groups of riders on your screen. Category 1, top left-hand side. Category 2, top right-hand side. Category 3, bottom left. And Category 4, bottom right. They are your leaders at the moment. Category 1, an attack going in here. McCarthy trying to put the rider who came in as one of the big favourites, Fua, under pressure. But McCarthy's on rich form at the moment. And look at the hurt she's doing. Fua is having to respond. She's going into the full-on, into the red there, just to get onto the wheel of McCarthy. McCarthy with a strong attack. Couldn't shake off Fua. And I expect these two now to ease back a little. And that is because they don't want to use all of their energy coming in to the sprint finish. So McCarthy on the left-hand side with Fua leading in Category 1. The last group of riders on the road are at 32.5. Right-hand side, 500 metres to go and counting. It's soon to be 400 for race leader Ella Vink. Ella Vink in the polka dot skin suit, the rider in Category 4 who has climbed the mountains the fastest, is going to be paid off. Solo lead coming in. She's on to the climb. She's going to be at the top as Idzik, the rider in second place, turns the corner. She might just about see the polka dot skin suit go out of sight over the top of the climb here. Idzik comes in with a Bago. 2 riders chasing. Bago puts in a kick, trying to shake off Idzik on this climb. Goes at 5.3 watts per kilo. They're chasing the leader. They're going to try and close the leader down. You just see Vink go round and out and round that turn. Bago is coming with some serious pace here. Vink can't afford to sit back too much. There is 8 watts per kilo coming from Idzik. There's 7 coming from Bago. They're going to come back together again, surely. Vink at the moment can see the banner. The riders behind are at 10 seconds. Surely that's enough with the run to the line. Vink accelerates up. She doesn't want to get caught napping. Bago's coming, chasing behind. She's trying to keep clear of Idzik. She's trying to pull the gap back down again. But Ella Vink is going to take the victory here. Qualifier race number 4, fourth gat. It is a win today Elevink takes the win here. What a ride there. Fantastic solo effort. She pulls on the yellow skin suit behind the sprint for the line. Well, it's going to be Bago from Idzik as they come in through and underneath the line. So number 1, Vink, 2, Bago, 3, Idzik. A race time of 1 hour, 8 minutes and 17 seconds. Behind it's going to be Goodall and Alzat in that order if they don't come together, but they're going to get swept up by the Category 3 leaders right hand side of your screen. Category 2 leaders Farstrom is on their tail as well. Kokkonen opens up the sprint in Category 3 right hand side here we go onto the big screen. Kokkonen opens it up. De Silva comes on the right hand side here trying to push right hand side of your screen. De Silva kicking hard here. Can she pull back Kokkonen? She's going to come onto her shoulder. She's moving up on the side here. She's going to take Kokkonen. It's surely going to be De Silva from Kokkonen from Simkin. That was a fantastic sprint. Well timed there by De Silva and Kokkonen. Heartbreak just on the line. Category 2 leader almost catching Category 3. Anna Svarström solos into victory. She stays clear of the chase behind. Serena Vittori breaks clear of the chasers. She's going to come through to take second place. It's going to be a third place for Davidson, a fourth for Giannatti. What a race in Category 2. Now, get my breath back. We've got one more race finish to go. The only category that almost didn't catch all the rest here is Category 1, but they've done a great job of pulling back the gaps. Kolchinsky on for a long one at the moment at 6 watts per kilo. She's come back to McCarthy. She's come back to Fua, and that means that this is a group of 4 because with them is Celine Columbi. We saw an attack by McCarthy. Fua answered it. They sat. They thought about the sprint. They've saved something for now, but it's allowed the 2 chasers to get back. Columbi is hit and Kolchinsky. 4 riders. We have 400 meters to go. Kolchinsky and Fua along with McCarthy and Columbi. Columbi leading this out on the front. The rider in the polka dot skin suit is Fua. Fua now starts to come on the left-hand side, comes up to the front here. So at the moment, the 2 leading riders are Kolchinsky and Columbi and Fua. Kolchinsky at the back of this group. McCarthy on the right-hand side here. It's Fua leading this out. They can't afford to play tactics here. This is just straight power drag strip stuff to the line, and the power's gone down. She's engaged the afterburner. She's got nitrox in the tank. Fua sprinting into the finish. She's staying clear of McCarthy. Catherine Fua wins Category 1 in Qualifier race number 4. What a ride. Fua from McCarthy, Columbi and Kolchinsky will have to get those places confirmed on the timing system behind our race winner. What a ride by Fua there. They got caught back, they got pulled back. She didn't panic. She put down the throttle and took it to the line to take away the win. Catherine Fua, you win it in Category 1. Now, it's Fua, McCarthy, Columbi, Kolchinsky coming in through that finish. Look at those time gaps, absolutely nothing between them. Top 4 riders in Category 1. The last of our prize winners today, subject of course to the verification checks that take place for all of our riders on the Sunday Race Club, is going to be Maria Holcroft. She's got a gap back to Kolkowitz of 15 seconds at the moment. So Caroline Kolkowitz in 15 seconds. You've got Engstrom and Van Hove at about 16 seconds behind her. So they're not all that far from the back wheel of Kolkowitz. In fact, just pulling her back now. So Maria Holcroft is going to come through. She's going to take away a 5th place here today in Category 1. Great riding by Holcroft. Now it's going to be Engstrom. Engstrom puts in the kick. She's going to come in through. She goes through for a 7th place. Stefani Sanchez making her way in through the line. Absolutely frantic. Gotta love a Sunday Race Club. Right. Okay. So, as the results update in front of our eyes, let's bring you our race results. Mary Kate McCarthy chasing all the way into the line, putting in the sprints and putting in the attack, but with no answer to our race winner. Catherine Fua taking the win, 55 minutes, 59 seconds. Then McCarthy in second, Celine Columbi in third, Kristen Kolchinsky in fourth, Maria Holcroft in fifth. 6th place going to Cornelia Engstrom, 7th to Amelia Van Hove, 8th to Carolina Kolkowitz, a 9th place to Tiffany Penner, And a 10th place, I think, going to go to potentially Kelsey Jade Van Shaw. Is potentially our rider rounding out the top 10 in category 1. Indeed, there she goes in through. Now, in category 2, it is Anna Svardstrom who takes away the win from Serena Vittori, then Dana Davison, Hannah Giannatti, and Dorothy Gonzalez-Ray. They are your top 5 riders in category 2. In category 3, well, the win taken there by Elena Francisco de Silva, Novelinka Conan in 2, Melissa Simkin in 3. You've got Nicola Takova in 4 and Rebecca Johnson in 5. And in category 4, Ella Vink taking the win from Katie Bago in 2nd. Then in 3rd place, Natalia Idzik. In 4th place, Natalia Becker. And in 5th place, Karolina Jezikowicz. Remember, all these results provisional based on the timing at the moment. You can get the full results on mywhoosh.com/results. Whilst you're there, download the app and get it onto your PC, on your Windows device, on your iOS. Get it on to your Android tablet, whichever form. Jump on board. Join me, Matt Payne, on the Sunday Race Club, and we look forward to putting words to you, bringing us the action when you're out and riding. Don't forget, follow MyWhoosh, subscribe, hit that button, and subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Lots of great content on there, lots of great tips and advice, as well as all of the race coverage. And don't forget, follow MyWhoosh on social media. You can follow MyWhoosh, it's at MyWhoosh across social media. It's at Matt Fixer Payne for me, Matt Payne. I'm going to be back very shortly with the men's qualifier race number 4, but it's got a lot to live up to after the race action in our women's race here on the Sunday Race Club on MyWhoosh. A massive thank you to our riders for keeping us so entertained. A massive thank you to you for watching. A thank you to the team behind the scenes for bringing the action. But for me, Matt Payne, it's time to stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.